and welcome back to our Into the New Year Yoga Challenge, day 7. And I'm feeling cozy today. I'm feeling all of the yin energy, so we will be slowing down, especially coming after a couple of strong classes, a couple of strong, powerful days. So it makes sense to come from the yin, to come from the fire, and then to slow down, to kind of drop into our bodies a little bit more. So do make sure that you wear something cozy. I have my floaty trousers, I have my warm socks, and I also invite you to grab either your yoga blocks or a couple of books if you don't own any yoga blocks, and a blanket for your Shavasana later on. So if you need to pause the video, do that. But if you do have everything with you, let's begin. Let's come onto our backs. So we'll start in a very, very nice, just lying down position. So of course, my suggestion perhaps would be for you to do this practice during your evening, wherever you are in the world. But if you do this in the morning or in the afternoon, even better. That means that you made some time for yourself to put everything away, to put your work away, to-do lists away, and now it's the time for you to listen, to slow down, and finally breathe out. So I invite you to bring your feet nice and wide. Your knees can come in. Rest one hand onto your belly, one hand around your chest, the area of your heart. Close your eyes. And I just want us to take a few deeper inhalations in through the nose, out through the mouth. And just notice how gradually you come into stillness. And if you do find yourself still thinking about 100 million things, maybe your mind is still racing, remember that that is okay. This is why we come to our mats, to hopefully shift that energy, to transform the clutter, and to find deeper stillness. So set your intention, whatever that may be. Maybe you're one of those people that, you're always on the move, always doing things. And yin is something that you don't do much. Maybe your intention is to welcome this practice with an open heart, without any expectations, without any judgment. Just be open. So let us take a nice inhalation and let it out through the mouth. How nice. We have arrived. So let's set up for our first Yin Pose. We'll guide our right ankle on top of our left knee. And maybe this is enough for you. You want to be quite soft and gentle with yourself today, so this could be you. If you want to, you can lift your left foot and, where are the trousers? Where's this gap? And bring your hands just below the knee, or if that is too intense, you can always just support your thigh. So choose where you want to be. We're going to be here for a few minutes. So at first, the stretch always feels quite intense. And it takes, 5, 7 breaths sometimes before we actually can relax into the pose. And this one you will feel around your right outer hip. And we've been doing quite a lot of hips recently. So just continuing with the theme, why not? Hips are one of those places, where we do store a lot of emotional distress and of course physical tightness due to sitting and just bad posture, really. So hips are always a good idea. So as you breathe here, try now to soften through the face, soften through the shoulders. And just pay attention to the way you're breathing. So yin yoga, of course, on the surface is very, very slow. It almost looks like we're not doing much. But underneath a couple of layers, all of your connective tissues are being lengthened. You're creating space where you were once stuck. And of course, also we need to manage our busy mind. But my invitation for you is to be gentle, even if your mind begins to race. So we're going to take a couple of breaths and feel free to exhale deeply. Sighing it out through the mouth. One more breath. Breathing out. From here, we'll release the shin or the thigh. Allow the foot to travel onto the floor. And just for a moment, stay here for a few breaths. Pay attention to what is going on in the right side. And then from here, allow the right knee to travel literally on top of your left knee. And again, maybe this is enough for you. Maybe you want to stay here. Maybe you do want to lift your feet off the ground, and you might see if you can catch onto your feet and just allow your elbows to drop and you stay here in this supported cow face, or you can of course keep holding on to that left knee. So choose an option that works for you, and we're going to stay here for a minute or so. And as you grip your hands around your toes, make sure there's lightness there. You're not forcing the stretch. And this is what we want to have in our yin yoga. Very little effort, very little force. Better if there's no force. And we simply allow the body to take us there. The pose almost unravels itself out. So just a couple of breaths here. Deep breaths. Very well. Release the feet, your knees. Allow your feet to come onto the floor. From here again, we're gonna bring the right ankle just to land on top of our left knee. And we will allow the right foot to go all the way to the left. So here your left thigh and your shin and the foot is resting onto the floor. And you just mindfully, slowly, with that inner awareness, guide the right knee away. So we don't want to physically push the knee, but just gently guide it away. And enjoy this gentle supine twist. And bring the awareness back to your breath. Notice your belly rising and falling back in. And if you're doing this in the evening, this almost signals our mind and the body that it is now time to rest, to almost begin prepping ourselves for the bedtime. So really activating our parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest. And even if you're doing this during the day, in the middle of all the things, that's great, because you're switching off the doing, the trying, and now you're just giving yourself this break. So I invite you to take a deep inhalation through the nose and out through the mouth. Deep breath in. And one more inhalation. Exhale. Slowly we'll try and guide our legs back. And I want us to bring the foot down onto the mat. Bring the knees back in, and just another moment for us to reset and to observe. Even in such slow practice like Yin, we do have moments when we pause and do nothing. So this is a time for the body and those poses to integrate into the mind and the body. So take a breath in. And exhale. Great. Separate your knees. We'll guide our left ankle just below the right, above the right knee. And from here, maybe this is you stay here. Or you lift the foot, you guide your hands, wrap around your shin or the thigh. And for me personally, for example, this side feels much tighter, so I almost want to do less, right? I grab my shin on the right, but now it feels like the thigh might just be enough. And this is all about cultivating that awareness, right? Where we are. And it doesn't matter that the right and the left sides feel different. And it also doesn't matter that you need to do exactly the same thing, exactly the same variation. We're not symmetrical, so there shouldn't be that expectation that we'll feel the same on both. Then of course, if you move through that initial tightness, you can change things up. Then you can find your new edge and just embark on that journey of finding, new place that feels tight, and we continue to work through that discomfort. Check in with your mind. Every now and then the mind jumps outside of the mat somewhere. Thinking about the food, the lunch or dinner plans, thinking about emails, anything like this. But remember that you always have that option to come back to the breath, to come back to the here and now. So we'll take the last couple of breaths. Observing whether anything has shifted. Very good. And then eventually, slowly, we release the right foot down. Take a moment to reset. Deep breath in and out. Then allow your left knee to travel on top of your right knee. You might stay here, or you might draw those legs closer in, grabbing onto your feet, holding onto the feet. Remember, very little effort. So if you feel like this is causing you more stress, grabbing onto the feet, than any good, don't do it. Just support your knees. You can rest your hands on top of the right knee even, or your left knee. So see where you want to be, and then we'll stay here for a couple of moments. And whichever arm position you choose, try and soften across your shoulders. So really now bring the awareness into the upper body, feeling the weight, feeling that firm support from the earth. And just notice your whole spine, your sacrum resting on the floor. Soften through the jaw, the cheeks, the forehead. Making your face expressionless. Zero expression. Just you looking so relaxed, enjoying your time on the mat. So taking the last couple of breaths. And then when you're ready, releasing the hands, bringing the feet on the ground. And just one more moment here before we find the twist. And then your left ankle going to travel just above the right knee. And from here, we will allow the left foot to go over to the right. So your right leg is fully resting on the floor, and then your arms might extend to the side, or you leave your hands around your belly and the chest, as though you're grounding yourself further towards the earth. And again, every position, when we enter into it, gives us an opportunity to again check back in where our thoughts are, whether we are pushing our body or we are being gentle. And here with that inner awareness, you just touch that left hip, your left knee, and guide it away. And direct your breath into those tight places. And taking the last few breaths in your own time. And then from here, Slowly guiding your legs back up. And this time around, I want us to extend the legs. Reset in your mini Shavasana. Notice your lower body. Notice this extra new space that you have created. And just notice how heavy the lower body is. Take that deep breath in. Lovely. For the next pose, I invite you to grab your books or your blocks. Trying to move slowly. I don't want to make any kind of rushed movements. So staying close to the ground, and I invite you to do the same. So I'm going to be placing 2 blocks like this underneath my lower back. So I lift my hips up, and the blocks travel literally just underneath my lower back. So we're finding this supported bridge. So we're creating this extra space around the front part of the hips, the psoas, the front part of the thighs. So an option here would be to also extend your legs. So this will give a deeper opening across the front parts of your legs. And then of course you can bring your arms above or by your sides. So wherever you are, we're gonna stay here for a couple of minutes. If this pose doesn't suit you, just keep your legs bent. Allow those knees to come in and simply rest here. Try not to wiggle once you find your desirable place. In stillness, we find balance. And of course that in our lives we need both of these energies, the yin, the slow, grounding energy, and the fiery yang. We can see this in nature, all around us, how these 2 energies dance between one another, dance with each other. They are inseparable and they are both needed. But the question is, which of these energies you have more in your life? Where is that imbalance? And if you can answer this question quite easily to yourself, that's great. So through practices like this, we're able to glimpse towards that beautiful, almost the perfect center of balance. What does it feel like to be completely content? What does it feel like to be in the right place? On the right path. And I want us now to take the last few inhalations. How nice. And now again, moving slowly as we bring the arms down. We will lift our hips to remove the props away. Release the hips to the ground, and again find that mini Shavasana. Extending the legs, noticing how you feel. A deep breath in. And a deep breath out. Lovely. Let's now bend our knees. We'll roll onto the left side, which is our yin side. And then from here, using the right hand, gently push the floor away, and we will come into seated. So we'll move on now a bit more into the upper body. And I want us to come onto all fours. If you do have a blanket or like a bolster even, you can use it for this one. So we'll be traveling into our Anahatasana, heart melting pose. So the blanket can be a support for your chest or even for your arms. So I'll show you a couple of ways that you can do this. So keep your knees underneath your hips, so hips stacked above the knees, and we walk the arms forward. Now from here, your blanket can be, or the bolster, just around the area of your chest or the belly even, and the forehead rest onto the floor. Or if you want this to be a bit stronger, you bring your blanket or even the blocks forward, and this is where you'll place your forearms. And the forehead releases towards the floor. And now we'll stay here for a couple of minutes in complete and total stillness. Now this pose can feel quite intense. And it's not the easiest thing to be able to have our heart open, to accept that love, to accept all the gifts that this life provides us, to accept all the lessons along the way. But here, as you are in this pose, try to be welcoming. Breathe in and feel that expansion. And as we go further into the pose, you might begin to feel tingles around your fingers, around your hands. Let that happen. Don't resist. Stay with the breath. Now taking the last couple of breaths in your own time. And when you feel ready, gently pushing your forearms, your hands against the floor, and then coming to find your child's pose. Allow your arms to face back, And integrate all of that into your body. Deep inhalation, feel the backside expand. And deep breath out. Slowly bring the hands just next to your knees. Push the floor away. We come into seated, and then we'll eventually come onto our backs for one more pose before Shavasana. So for this one, I invite you again to grab your books or your blocks. One is going to be a support for the head, and the other is going to be a support for our shoulder blades. I'm just feeling so relaxed now. So I'm choosing level 2 of my block. Horizontally, I'll pop those shoulder blades there. So we're creating further expansion across the chest, the upper body, and the shoulders. And the head rests on the block there too. And if you had enough for your hips, I invite you to either keep your legs straight or feet wide and knees can come in. Or of course you can find your diamond shape, so Baddha Konasana. And here in terms of your arms, I do invite you to bring your arms out to the side. So this will feel much bigger across the chest. But of course, if it is too much, your hands can rest on your belly or just around your thighs or even on the floor. So we're gonna stay here for a few minutes. I'm not sure if you can hear it, but just outside of my window, it started to rain. And rain is just a beautiful, beautiful sign of the yin energy. Somehow it always soothes us. It always invites us to curl up into our cozy blankets, maybe read a book, do something cozy and nourishing. So perhaps come back to that word, nourish. What does nourishment mean to you? How do you nourish your mind and your body? Now notice whether the tissues have softened slightly more around your upper body. Notice your heart. And now here and now, taking your last few breaths. When you're ready, begin to draw your arms in. Begin to bring your knees in and slowly roll onto your left side, coming off the props. Removing them away. And we'll set up for our Shavasana. So I invite you to get your blankets ready, get cozy. Ooh. And just taking a nice deep inhalation through the nose. Sigh it out through the mouth. Shavasana. Slowly begin to deepen the breath. Introduce those small movements around your body and just move very, very slowly and intuitively. When you're ready, bend those knees. Roll onto your right side. And with your eyes closed, arriving into a seated position. Now checking back in with our hearts. And hopefully this yin practice was able to show you that yoga is not just about the hard, the intense physical movements, but it's also about digging deeper within, going inwards. So bring your hands next to your heart into Anjali Mudra. And really, really thank yourself. Thank yourself for accepting this practice, for giving yourself an opportunity to slow down. So take that deep inhalation through the nose and breathe out through the mouth. Thank you so much for coming with me onto this yin journey. I hope you feel very blissed out and nourished from the inside out. And of course, I hope to see you all tomorrow. Namaste.